Well, hello and welcome to another episode of Carvers and Creators, a weekly demonstration and discussion with sculptors, carvers, and multi-talented artists from around the world. If you're a fan of the show and you like what we do, give us a like and a follow on the platform you're watching us on, and let us know in the comments where you're watching us from. Before I introduce anybody, as you can see, there's two of us. Our guest tonight is having a bit of computer problems, so we are going to stall for a few while he gets that stuff figured out, because these things happen. This is a live show. There's nothing scripted here. Other than the fact that I have to remember my name and say it over and over again. So I'm Paul Dever. I am an artist and sculptor from Boston, Massachusetts. And this guy below me, who's here every week with me, my co-host, is the talented artist and sculptor from Tucson, Arizona, Matt Harper. We are the carvers. Sometimes we're the creators. We're kind of both.
Yeah, sometimes.
So I want to hold off. Should I hold off on introducing Chris till he gets on?
I think that's a great idea. Yeah, we can just take a long look at this picture for a while, because this is epic in itself. This is, by the way, this is one, and if you notice what's in my hand, we're both drinking our carving oil, which we will certainly touch on in a minute. Don't get me wrong. Let's talk about this, Paul.
Yes, the GPCC 2023. So we teamed up with Brandy the last 2 years, so this will be the third annual Great Pumpkin Carving Contest. It's open to everybody. I know the first 2 years, Maddie, we tried different things to get everybody involved and create different categories and, pro and amateur and all this stuff. But I think this year we're just going to do it like a good old pumpkin carving competition and just let everybody enter. Let the cards fall where they may. This year, the prize obviously is you want that buckle. That's the bragging rights there.
Look at that thing. It's glowing gold. It's like if you don't covet that thing, then you've got a problem.
It's gold. I mean, don't take it to a jeweler or anything to get tested, but it's gold.
24 karat, I think.
Oh yeah, 55 karat, I think.
Oh wow, then what else?
Yeah, it's super carat. But so the obviously from the entire month of October till the day before Halloween is when we'll close it out, because we'll announce on Halloween who we think's won. We're also going to give some prize packs out for some of the other carvings that we think were right there or we were just really impressed by. So Brandy, Matt, and me will decide who the winner is this year. Make sure that the easiest rules we can follow here are put a hashtag for GPCC 2023. Make sure you tag Carvers Creators. Make sure you tag the Pumpkin Artist. Pretty simple, right? Enter early, enter often. Don't post anything from years past. We've seen it all. We're on the interwebs. We know who's posting what.
Yeah, and what's fun too, Paul, is like I've seen over the years, we have more and more different folks, young and old, entering. And a lot of the people that entered early, even 2 years ago, have gone on and been on shows on Food Network and other places, and they're carving all over, and they're part of the little community. But it's really fun to see how many submissions come in. I mean, it's just, I think we went through like 25 or 30 of them last year. When we finally got to Jim Billy's big dinosaur, the winner. But I think that's the most staggering part, is the creativity, the craftsmanship. I mean, this is really fun to do.
Yeah, we've gotten some crazy entries. It's become a fun thing for pumpkin carvers and the pros and the I don't want to say newbies, but people just getting into sculpting and carving pumpkins. Enter 100 of them if you want. Like that's the best way to get better, and you might hit gold. Who knows? Every year we create a list, the three of us, and every year it's a lot of different choices. Like we all have different opinions on what we really were looking for, and then at the end, the last 2 years we came to realize that Luke's was the top one, and then Jim's was the top one. So it's anybody's game this year. I mean, seriously.
Will they go get the crown again? Like, you certainly can. I mean, hey, the gauntlet's down, right? They can win again if they have the best thing. So
a repeat?
Hey, two
very bold. That's a bold statement.
Hey, it's they can't go away. Those things are still top dogs.
What do you do with a second buckle? Do you put it like a back buckle? Like, what would you do with it?
Earrings. You just make them into earrings.
Whoa. That's awesome.
Pretty much it.
Yeah, so that's the GPCC, guys. It's kicking off. Start getting your pumpkins ready. Get your designs, whatever you're going to do. Go crazy. Post often. And we look forward to seeing your entries. So I think what we do at this point, Maddie, is spin the wheel. right?
Yeah, let's do that. Let's
for all those that are going to be carving along with us, it really doesn't need an introduction, but at the same time, we're going to introduce you to the third member of Carvers and Creators, responsible for our choices tonight. It is the Hallowheel, the center spinner, and Maddie's going to blow me up. So that
look at this first. I got to look at this cool graphic first. This is epic. I don't know about you.
Updated graphics this week.
I mean, come on, that's beautiful, beautiful.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Okay, for everybody watching at home, the wheel. We're going to spin it twice like we usually do. First time we spin it is going to be the character that we have to carve, and then the second spin will be the emotion or attribute to which we have to apply to our carving. This week's choices are Goblin, Aquatic, Viking, Werewolf, Guest Choice, Undead, Fantasy Animal, Vampire, Demon, and Frank. Second spin will be Flustered, Confused, Distraught, Shocked, Guest Choice once again, Crazy, Devious, Excited, Furious, or Sad. Now I
heard some new ones on this. This is kind of scary.
I like to throw curveballs, buddy.
Yeah, this is
because I'll tell you what, I wasn't carving battered again. So
look, Pat's chiming in real quick. Hello from Buffalo.
Great post, by the way.
He said this one. And by the way, he posted one from last week. We got to still talk about what we did last week after this.
Yeah, we'll spin the wheel and then we'll do that.
I love it.
It's like a free form. Free form tonight.
Perfect. Shall we?
All right, here we go. Spin number one. Undead. Oh, that almost landed on Guest Choice. We were going to flip a coin to see who was going to play the guest. And by the way, I talked to Chris. Chris is 15 minutes out. He's had connection failure at his shop. These things happen. Chris, get here when you can. We're waiting, buddy.
Yep.
And in the meantime, our undead character will be Furious. Very classic for an undead. Furious Undead.
Put that in the chat there.
Better than a sad Viking, I have to be honest.
Yeah. So we now have the Furious Undead. It's locked and loaded. So Undead is wonderful when it comes to...
I got a sleepy undead. Look, he fell. Yeah, he finally fell. Hello, little fellow. He's 4 years old. He's 4 years old. Guy can hold his breath, I'll tell you. All right. So because we're free-forming it and we're just doing our thing here, I agree. Let's take a look at what we did last week. So last week we had Howard Berger on the show. Thank you, Howard, by the way. Got my shirt in the mail.
Look at that. I haven't gone to the mailbox. That's probably in my mailbox too, I hope.
No, he said he hates you anyway.
Oh, is that right?
He loves me.
Good.
No, thanks, Howard. All right, so week's 5 choice was Battered Clown. Kind of a strange one. And I think great minds think alike because everybody that's posted one of a battered clown is kind of similar.
Yeah.
Nice job. So you did both swollen eyes. I love it. And the hair.
So my knee jerk was to go to, I had a really cool shaped pumpkin. So that helped with to be able to make the hair. It was all one piece except for the nose. But awesome. The fun part was I wanted to do a prize fighter, kind of, and I saw some really gruesome pictures, and one of them had like the above and below, and like his lip. If you can kind of see, he's got a big knot on his lip. This guy got his rear end handed to him, which is kind of what everyone wants to do to clowns anyway. I mean, just kind of let them have it. But,
it's either run or punch them to death. Yes.
Right. Either way. But yeah, I'm okay with it. The funny thing was, as soon as I saw yours, I was like 90% of the way done. I was like, oh no, I just and you guys will see why. Paul's is
before you switch to mine. Before you switch, I got a couple of questions. One, how thin were the cheeks? Because to get the hair to pop like that must have been paper thin in the cheeks.
Yeah, very. Almost like, and I used my fun little clay scraper to get it down to almost like it was a little trampoline. It was like nothing there at the end.
Yeah, because the hair pops, and to do that, you got to remove just about all the material to create the jawline. Yeah,
it was luckily the pumpkin kind of went in like that at the bottom, thankfully, but it was really thin there at the jaw.
And question number 2.
Yes, sir.
Because I'm going through these now. What did you use for the paint?
Orange food coloring.
Oh, it is food coloring, because I know you have those tools that can cut things like razor thin, like in Goodfellas when they were cutting the garlic into the sauce. You know what I mean?
Right. Well, so that was my first thought, but I can't help myself because a year or so ago we made a drunken clown, if you remember, and I love the little things above and below the eyes, like the traditional old time clowns, and I didn't want to redo that. I guess I could have, but I didn't anyway. And so I figured just this kind of face paint that also went with the color of the nose, which was out of I did that out of a butternut. So it was a different color.
I love it. Great job, man. Great job.
Yeah, it's all right. When you see yours, this is like the Band-Aid. Is that butternut Band-Aid, butternut skin?
Butternut Band-Aid, yeah.
That's so badass. Yeah, and the wrinkles you did, I mean, in the teeth, because I wanted to have broken teeth and stuff, and I saw you was like, I have broken teeth. Damn it. I love it. This is a really great one, Paul.
Thank you, buddy. I mean, it's similar. You know what sucks? I spent a lot of time on the nose, and not the clown nose, the actual nose, like researching broken noses, and I'm like, wow, this is a really broken nose. And then I just threw a ball on the end of it. I wasted like an hour of time.
I know. I even contemplated having the nose like flying off, but then it would have required like movement and so I just put it on the same thing. I did the same thing. I made the nose perfectly and then covered it up.
Yeah, I was going to do the same thing too. I was going to use I've used spaghetti in the past to kind of create string and stuff like that. I was going to kind of like it had been pulled over and you could see the string moving around.
I love it.
Yeah. Thanks, bud. Yeah, it's okay. What's up, Drew?
Yep.
Thank you, pal. Appreciate it. You're killing it too.
Yeah. This is that time of year, right? All these guys come out of woodwork and are doing amazing jobs out there sculpting.
I know. Everybody's posting too. And you know how I know it's carving season is I have a cold. I instantly get a cold when it's time to start carving pumpkins. I might be allergic to them. This might be a problem. But every year.
Just excuse me. I'm gonna go back to this picture because it's such a great one of us, and anyway. But the thing I think I go, you guys don't know this, but we're going. I'm gonna be seeing Paul shortly. Actually tomorrow. Heading out to Boston after the show today, and carving for a special customer,
special client. Yeah.
Over the weekend, and it's going to be tons of fun. But it's I think we'll be doing some of this. Is my point. We'll be tilting back some carving oil. So
there could be some carving oil involved. Yes, very early flight too. Yes, I'm looking forward to
overnighter, which is never a good idea. And I always
Carvers and Creators never sleeps, Matt. We don't sleep.
No.
Rain or shine, you want us. We'll be wherever you need us to be, on time and on budget.
Speaking of carving oil, do you want to should we talk about what we're having this week? All right, I'll go to you.
I have a very appropriate one, I'd say.
Okay, let's see what you got.
Which actually has ties to the Harper lineage, which is from Shipyard Brewing. Your cousins are all involved with the Shipyard Brewery.
Oh my gosh! Wow.
Yeah, Pumpkinhead. This is a staple beer. I'm sure it is nationally, but I know it is around here. It's the pumpkin beer to have this time of year. So it's delicious. Yeah. I heard it's nutritious. So because it's got pumpkin in it.
Of course, and anything with pumpkin in it, you're getting vitamins, and I'm sure it's all very
sure.
Good for you.
I'll believe it.
I'm having because our guest does some amazing out of this world stuff.
Amazing.
I mean, we're gonna go through it one way or the other, but this is a hazy IPA, and I look forward to having some actual cloud candy hazy IPA when I get to Boston, which is my favorite. But if I have to drink an IPA, hazy is the way to go. And this thing is 7.5 ABV. What's that mean?
Hey, nothing says let's catch a red eye like one of those bad boys.
And it's 16 ounces. Oh, okay.
By God.
Here we go, I guess, right?
Well, when Chris gets here, we can do another toast, but here's to us, and here's to Chris, and here's to everybody watching. Let's get carving on a furious undead character.
Yeah, so we have so many pictures and things to talk about, Chris. It's like hard not to start showing it. I think what I might do.
Oh, that's a big one.
That's a nice one. We'll just stay in this frame for a minute and start carving. When Chris jumps on, we'll start rifling through his amazing pictures. But we've got a lot.
Chris said he was, probably, I'd say he was 15 minutes out about 15 minutes ago. So any minute now, Chris is going to join us.
I like it.
You would think after 4 seasons, I would figure out where to put the pumpkin on the table, but they never want to sit where you want them to.
No, never.
No. So here we are. All right. So Matt, I feel like we're going to have to divulge the direction that we're going so we don't go in the same direction. Although Furious is a lot easier to have variants on than Battered. I feel like Battered had specific things, and obviously the subject was very specific, right?
Yeah, I
so Battered Clown is going to be a ball for a nose and swollen eyes, where the Undead is just open to interpretation.
Oh, big time!
Miles.
And not only that, Undead, when it's Furious, you can have you can have all of the teeth showing, you can have it gnashing, you can have it, all kinds of cool stuff. So
yeah, you can have a 12-hour carve spent on teeth.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, for you, everybody out there that does teeth knows what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I just had to post this only because it's a little celebration. I don't know who this is, but what a cool moniker there with the
Santa Claus.
Yeah, I like that.
Zombie Claus.
Yeah, very
what is the little thing? What is the what's that emoji or icon? What is that?
I think it's a celebration thing.
Oh.
The little horn. Whatever.
Maybe it's because I'm hungry. It looks like a taco for some reason.
Oh, yeah.
Seeing what I want. Oh, that's what you can bring me, Matt. Bring me some Western tacos. Stop on your way to the airport.
They don't travel well because I just eat them on the way.
Right. Or you just stink up the whole plane.
Oh, yeah. Can you imagine? Here's a big bag of tacos for a flight from Phoenix to Boston. This is not a bad beer, by the way.
No? Good one.
I'll probably finish it. I got a question for you, Paul.
Yeah, go ahead.
This pumpkin has it's just kind of one of those what do you call the fairy tale variety? It's whatever you can get at the store that's in the bin where the non-regular pumpkins are.
Yeah, the expensive ones.
Right, and it's kind of got like this kind of diamond shape. So the top of it is pointed, like Ernie and Bert. Or I guess this would be more Bert. Ernie.
Yeah, that's very Ernie.
So when I turn it upside down, it has a very like a kind of thinner chin,
skull?
And I could do more skull-like. Would you go this direction, or would you go like kind of the lemon or the more?
It depends, and you're gonna just agree with me on every step of this. Is if you're gonna go with the skull shape, you're gonna pull that jaw open, right? Because the face is gonna get narrow as it opens up, and you're gonna see more teeth. Or you could turn it over and give it the heavy bottom of the face with like the gnashed teeth not open, where the jaw widens. So it just depends on what you want to do with the teeth. You want to be a dentist? I would go with thinner on the bottom because you're going to spend, I'd say, probably an hour and a half to 2 hours on teeth at least, right?
Yeah, I hate to say it.
But hey.
The best part about doing something that's undead, you can make a perfect face and then make it undead,
right. Oh, of course.
Tear it apart, take the nose off. And
But you know what the beauty of it is, Matt? It's going to last forever. So whatever you do is going to be there forever.
True. And I might not even take pictures of this one. Who knows?
Yeah, who needs pictures when you just have the memory? Matt is coughing on an egg.
Joey wants to know if this is rotten, and I sure hope not. I mean, it feels solid. It'd be terrible if it was rotten already, beginning of the season. But I guess I'll just get started with it. Kind of a fun.
I wonder, I haven't experienced no pumpkin rot yet. I mean, we've been having a lot of rain on the East Coast too, so usually that's like a kiss of death. But I'm knocking on wood because I have quite a few out on the porch right now ready to go, and they're really nice pumpkins. I'd hate to pick one up and see that the bottom was
crap the bed already.
Yeah. It's
this variety, it's almost like the Hubbards a little bit, like the orange Hubbards, and once you get in it, it's really nice. It's thick as hell, and really like dense form. Try not like the stringy pumpkin stuff.
Yeah, sometimes they got that veining through it, which is pretty nice too. So Joey asked a question: What do we do with Mike? Mike went on to different. He's exploring different avenues. He's doing his baseball thing.
Yeah, we love Mike Mondragon. We miss him, but at the same time, I think if you're not into it 100%, you got it. It's like we just got to run. You got to run on, baby.
That's it. The show must go on, right?
Exactly.
That's all you got to do. I've had some rotten pumpkins. What, rotten urethane? Is that why you went to the Forever Pumpkins?
Yeah, now he does foam all the time because he had a rotten pumpkin, had a bad experience, and never went back.
That's it. Smart guy. Joey knows. Unfortunately, I don't think I could carve one of those pumpkins in my house. I wouldn't be allowed.
Hey, I gotta ask Joey, are you gonna do a submission?
Oh, that's right. That's right. I mean, Joey was the first one to ask if it had to be an organic pumpkin.
Pretty open.
Chris is on, he says. He's in. He's on.
He is. Oh, look at that. Okay, you guys ready? Everybody ready?
Here's Chris. Hey! We got him.
I am.
Look at that.
So sorry about that. That was a little bit of a workout to try to get here. Oh, man. I already told Paul because I had to quickly give him my number to give me a call, but never in my life has my network failed. And then suddenly it failed 30 minutes before the show. And then I was able to get back on, and suddenly it failed again. I was like, this is ridiculous.
It's Murphy's Law. It's Murphy's Law. And although even now, your voice is a little quiet. Is there a way you could crank your mic?
How's that?
Ooh, that's better.
Mucho
better. I like it.
There you go.
Yeah,
sounds good.
Yeah, no, it was. Now, I was never sold on having internet at my shop because I'm like, I'll just always use my phone.
Yeah.
But now I'm like, okay, that's just ridiculous. I'm going to have to wind up getting Spectrum or something. So anyway, I'm here. Hi, guys.
Welcome. You know what I'm going to do? We do a little toast at the beginning of the show, and we'll have to redo that with you in a second. But I am going to do your proper introduction, which is
yes.
I
will introduce you. We will take two. It will snap it. Whatever the hell they do, right?
Right.
Okay, you ready? So tonight, our guest is a traditional sculptor, mask maker, and fabricator. His work can be seen in blockbusters such as Avengers: Infinity Wars, Aquaman, Hellboy, and Guardians of the Galaxy 3. He's the owner of Burger String Designs. Please welcome to the show from Duluth, Georgia. Is that right?
Duluth, Georgia. That's where I'm at.
All right, Mr. Chris Hamburger.
There he is. All right.
Hey, guys.
We are glad you're here.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, this is great.
Yeah, buddy. Thank you.
This is awesome.
See, and you got a master class in anxiety.
Let me tell you, no joke about that. I was like, all right, this is just obviously if it's going to go wrong, it's going to go wrong now. So luckily, I was able to run home, just get hooked up to the internet and do that. So now I know for future.
Good. Well, we just did a toast, so we'll do another one. If you've got a beverage handy. You might not after all the mayhem you went through, but we'll just do a toast to you.
Yeah, he ran to the liquor store, Matt.
Yeah, I know.
I had a beverage at the shop.
Okay.
But I left it there. I'm just like,
we're gonna just toast to a fun show with you because we got so many questions and a bunch of pictures to show you. So
to you, Chris. To you
being here. We're glad you're here, and we can't wait to get it carve into. Look at that, carve into some of your pictures. This is great.
Wow, look at you, man. Just making puns and you don't even know it.
I don't even know.
I think it's
I don't even know. Yeah.
Chris, you got any more volume on that mic? A little bit more?
Oh yeah, I can pump it up all the way up to 11.
There you go. Yeah, perfect. Because
11.
John Fuller says my mic's too loud. So
mine's not.
We got to turn everybody else's mics up.
I'm only halfway, so I can pump this thing up and.
That's dynamite. That's perfect.
Yeah.
All right, Manny. Let's dive into it. Let's get into some of Chris's work because I have questions. I know your background is with automotive, right? Design, conceptual.
So my if you can call it a background, I went to college originally for mechanical design, for mechanical engineering because I loved robots, and I always studied robots, mechanics, things like that. But I never had a true like just background in mechanical engineering. only lasted for like a semester until I realized that I like designing these things more than actually making them.
Really? It boggles me how you can sculpt a sphere like that.
So I'm told that every artist tends to put themselves in their piece of art, and if you notice, a lot of my pieces have a very large dome. So I have some expertise with that, but I honestly, as far as that kind of aesthetic goes, I love the big just planes on that because you paint it so many different ways.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah, we got so many more pictures. But before we leave this one, when it comes to like the process, are you starting on like a human head form, and this is built on top of that?
I am
Because they're all masked, right? And somewhere.
Yeah, every mask that I make starts with an armature. Like every sculpture, as you guys know, will have an armature underneath some form. But how I do it is I have a resin head form that I mounted on just a pipe, and I've modified it over the years to come out with pretty much like just the average size of a head, of a male head, and then I just build up from there. Like that one's the Scout. He was also built on the same head form. Everyone's built. I have actually three head forms, two of which are similar. But yeah, I always start with the basic head form because that gives me relative shapes to work with. I've been told before that my sculptures they always tend to reflect some kind of anatomy, and I think that's because I always wind up sculpting that base anatomy first. Like I always put on a base layer on the human form, and then I build up from there.
So it starts. I mean, do you sketch it out, or like how conceptually? Because I know you're an engineer by training, or that was your path. Did you do a lot of CAD? And I'm just trying to picture how you're.
No, so I used to draw, my the concepts just traditionally on paper, and then I sketch them out in clay after that. But now, honestly, I throw a thumbnail together real quickly on paper, and that's rarely nowadays. And I just start throwing clay on the form. I've had people roll their eyes at me because I say this, but at this point, I kind of let the clay take me where it wants. I'll see shapes in the clay when I begin to throw it on there. Like it's like this one, the Scout. He was something completely different when I first started. He was going to be.
Oh no way! Okay.
Oh yeah, there's some. If you look back on my Instagram, you'll see where the Scout came from because there's still some initial designs, like elements in this final piece that were in the initial sculpt. Like it was not supposed to look like this at all, and I've realized that coming into anything with a hard plan or a hard design, in my mind now, always it limits me. And that's why I'll go in with a very, very, very loose concept, and then I'll just go from there and just kind of go where the clay takes me.
Wow.
That's it. Like it's freeing, right? It doesn't put you in that little corner.
Yeah, and obviously that's different for productions and things like that. When they're like, "Hey, this needs to be sculpted. This line needs to be here." You're like, "Okay, that's fine. This one's for you, and then the next one will be for me," kind of thing.
Right. That's not where I would have gone with it, but okay, yeah.
Yeah, the best advice I ever got walking into the studio is just you got to hang your ego up at the door.
Oh my God, yeah, of course.
Directors will come up with some of the strangest things, and you just have to be like, okay, you know what? I'm being paid to do this. Let me do it.
Sounds good. Let's get it done. Yeah, it's funny because like when Paul and I we're doing like subtractive, right? So but when you talked about like going where the clay takes you, 99% of the ones we carve are the same kind of thing where it's like the shape of the gourd or the squash or whatever we're making, or the character kind of helps determine what we're going to do anyway. So it's actually interesting to hear you say that it's the clay, you let that kind of. So I guess my question on that end is do you ever like add pieces just to see how they look and then go that direction when it comes to these kind of organic forms?
So I build up the base structure, and then I begin to add my own elements, and then I'll just take chunks of clay and put it on the piece. I may sculpt that additional piece for an hour, step back, look at it, and be like, you know what, this doesn't work, and just rip it off. So it's just my hats off to you guys for sculpting, in a subtractive manner, because that is skill. Like that, to be able to, you can't add to a pumpkin. Not that I know of. You can't add, anything like that. So hats off to you guys for being able to be dedicated, to be able to find your forms and just stick with them.
Yeah, usually it's just we screw up to the point where we have to do it a certain way. It never starts the way we want it. It never ends up the way we wanted it to in the beginning. It's usually one scoop of a tool, and it's like, well, that's out of the question. Can't go that way anymore.
Yeah, I guess this isn't going to have an eye after all. What the hell?
Yeah. Well, good thing for Plan B.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, and that's why I always stick with the mixture of both. Additive, subtractive.
We tonight we spin a wheel every week, and tonight and the wheel kind of dictates what we're going to carve. So tonight's was a furious undead. Sometimes last week was a battered clown, and we've done aquatic, and you name it, right? We've done over the last 4 seasons, hundreds of shows. We kind of get a little bit like anxiety at the beginning, and then we're like, okay, we'll handle this. And so tonight's the daunting part of any one of these carvings for us is always the beginning of like, okay, because we're not using reference, we're just kind of diving in and saying, what does a furious undead thing look like? So that we were just starting to hack at it. As you can see, Paul's kind of starting to get eyes in there and blocking, tackling, that kind of stuff. But yeah, regardless, it's an anxiety-ridden process. But I do have a question about. So when it comes to the paint, I of course, like a director or something will want their specific. But do you do your own paint? You do kind of all your own, accoutrement and everything else up. But how do you come up with the paint designs, or do you do multiple?
So I have a base paint design or base paint scheme for every mask. That's just base steel. And then I honestly don't know as far as color goes, because I was never good at color theory.
Okay.
I kind of like look at something long enough, and then like some kind of design will pop in my head. And I'll just be like, you know what, let's try this color. And there's been masks that I've had to strip down several times because I didn't like the color. But I always stick with my primaries, and then I work from there. That's just, I never sculpt a piece with a certain paint scheme in mind, because once again, that's limiting. Plus, or limiting to me, I should say. I sell blanks of the mask, and why I do that is because I really want to see what other people come up with when they see these pieces. And I've seen some insane paint jobs on some of these masks, and I'm like, wow, I never would have thought of that.
Really?
So like, yeah, I mean, my paint schemes, honestly, truly, they're kind of based like in the 60s, anywhere from the 40s to 60s, like Cadillac colors, that
I love it. Yeah.
Powder blue, that Coca-Cola red.
I love that. We got something to show of yours that have even the Coca-Cola, absolutely. So you stick to those kind of traditional kind of colors, like the gold car colors from the 30s and 40s and 50s, that kind of thing.
Yeah, the Coca-Cola stuff's crazy.
Oh, I know.
So let me just talk on this for a minute, because this is a very rare picture for me. When I think of Chris Hamburger, I think of the robot masks, like
Exactly.
Straight out of like the Armageddon video game type concept. Like the kids love everything you do because it's that genre. And for me, it's almost like, it seems like, and Matt touched on it, it seems like it's CAD because it's so symmetrical. Like you're an evil genius when it comes to that. It's so symmetrical. And so when I see you post something like this, like you can do everything. So in your if you have your choice to sculpt anything, you're going straight for a robot, aren't you?
Yeah, traditional hard surface sculpting is where I'm at.
That's so crazy.
I love it. I enjoy organic. Don't get me wrong. I love it, and I'm actually trying to get more into that now. But I just always gravitated towards hard edges. It's just something about them, the complexity of the shapes. but the beauty of those shapes, just I was always drawn to that.
It's awesome. It really is. It boggles the mind. I want to attempt to try and do one of you. I want to like copy one of your masks onto a pumpkin, but I would get so frustrated I would toss it off. I would throw it over the fence in 5 minutes because I just trying to find. It's hard enough to find a form subtractively. Like every time I sculpt additively, if that's a word, just to get a plane like that, right? Just to get a plane, the tools you must use. I mean, that's something that probably is the best part of what I'm trying to say, and I can't because it boggles my mind. What kind of tools do you use to get that entire surface so uniform?
So how I'll do it is, once I lay all the base lay down, we're talking like just the base curves and everything like that. I will literally go in with my fingers like this and begin to cross hatch over the entire surface while the clay is still really, really warm. And that will give me the very rough shape, right? From there, I just use rakes. I go in with a large rake, with larger teeth, and I'll start to rake it down. And then I'll begin to transition into smaller and smaller and smaller rakes until I eventually get to steel tools, or to steels, which are kidneys. I didn't realize that they were called steels in the automotive industry, because a lot of what I do is interpreted in the automotive sculpting field.
Yep.
So, I mean, the final tools I'll use is just these flexible steel kidney tools.
Like these things, right?
And I think that's it. Yeah, just a different selection of those.
Yeah, how come mine doesn't do that? Mine's broken.
Another thing is, growing up, there wasn't, 3D design was not wildly popular. 3D printing was not a thing. It did not exist. Like, I was doing stuff like this back before YouTube started.
Wow.
So, I mean, that makes me sound old, but the thing is, doing this, I went to the library and I had to go through the card catalog, and I had to find books, and you were forced to discipline yourself to be able to do this. And also, like, in my 20s, I didn't really go out, I didn't party, anything like that. Not in college, I literally just sculpted in my apartment because I love it. It's just a passion. And over time, like, you just train your eye. And yes, 3D printing came out, 3D design came out, and I dabble with those. But it's just therapy for me. Like, I might be ADHD, because some people look at this and they're like, I just don't have the patience to sit there and rake an entire sculpt or find these hard, crisp edges. But for me, it really is just therapeutic to go in and just slowly work out the imperfection. Like,
cheers to that.
Polish out the mask.
Yeah, heck yeah.
We talk about that all the time, Chris. We say it's art therapy. Like, I have the shortest fuse of anybody I know, and it's awful, and I hate myself for it. But I can sit down at a pumpkin and just be like, let's find the face. And 6 hours later, I'm like, do you get exhausted when you're done? I know some people say they're jazzed up and like they're all full of energy when they finish a sculpt. I am like, I couldn't answer a question. I'd be like, what?
So once I finish a sculpt, like, I will be full of, like, let's say I just sculpt for 8 hours a day on one piece. And at the end of the day, I'm like, oh no, it's already been 8 hours. I need to eat. I need to drink. So it's like, I always want to sculpt more, but I can't.
Oh, I see. I feel like the same thing where you're like, my wife will say, do you want to eat dinner? And I'm like, what time is it? I started this like early in the afternoon. Like, oh my God, I got to start wearing a watch.
Yeah, it's the casino mindset. Literally, it's just like, you can't tell what time of the day it is outside, nothing.
Right.
And as long as somebody's serving you drinks, you're good.
I was going to say, if I had somebody serving me drinks, that'd be a mess.
But I think that's the beautiful part of it too, because if you're so lost in it that you don't see time and meals and drinking water go by, to me it's like time so well spent. I remember just like you get into one piece and nothing will distract you from it's almost there. It's almost there. And you just keep digging away. And there's something really, really beautiful about that, like therapeutic and great, good for your mind.
Another thing that I do, you asked how I get the thing so smooth and symmetrical now. Back in the day, I used to take my sculpts to completion in clay. Like that was it. It was clay, and that was the only thing I molded and it was done. Now I'll sculpt it to a completion point, and then I'll take a junk mold off of that, cast a master, and then I can really begin to sand it down and polish it, and just like, this is where the ADHD really kicks in. Like I have polishing wheels, I have sanding wheels, everything dedicated to making the surface as smooth as possible, because that's just how my mind is. I need to have these crisp things, these crisp forms. And I didn't even realize you can do that until I was working at a shop out in LA. My first shop in LA, I was sculpting food, and one of the guys was like, "Why don't you just mold it?" I was like, "What are you talking about?" He's like, "Yeah, you just mold it and make a cast and start working on that." I was like, "Oh my gosh, that's amazing!" That's what I do now.
Okay.
It's genius. But that's the thing. Those are the things you learn from the other pros in the industry by working, right? That's where you make your bones. That's where you learn all the tricks and refine everything.
Exactly.
And now you have people like me baffled. Like, I'm completely baffled when you post stuff. Doesn't make sense.
As long as you're always willing to learn and humble yourself, before all things, humble yourself, so that way you can have an open mind to receive knowledge from other people. You're never going to be the best. There's always going to be somebody better than you. Accept that and understand it's not a bad thing. Because I was at one job, my first, I won't say the name of the shop or anything, but I was at the shop for 6 years or so, and it got to a point where I wasn't growing anymore. I wasn't learning. And I was beginning to teach the owners things. And I was like, well, this is not where I want to be. I was just like, I can't. And that's actually when I took a step to go out to LA, is when I felt that I wasn't growing anymore. And even now, I'm trying to figure out how I can grow more, because I'm the only person in the shop right now, especially with the strike and everything. I'm the only person in the shop. And I'm just like, I want to learn more. That's why I'm beginning to look into 3D design, to be like, this is not to be, shunned. This is an excellent tool, especially for the pipeline and workflow for, film and TV. They need things in like 24 hours. So,
right.
So when it comes to jobs like that, like you described, like the strike, and I hear it's hopefully coming to an end. But regardless, when you get jobs and you're the only one in the studio, do you thrive off of having other folks around you to compete with? Because I'll admit, when Paul and I post these every week and we're putting up different ones, it's this quiet competition that both of us probably have in the back of our mind, like, I got him this week, he got me that last week. It was just, but it makes us grow, makes us get better. So I've
never thought that.
Me either. I was just kidding. Be good. But Chris, do you ever long for kind of having someone really good next to you that you can see? I don't know, just a random question, but I figured since you're a shop of one, if it helps you or how you feel about that.
So it's a double-edged sword. I like it because I am a man who can go in his own mind for hours. I can be in my own head, not listen to music, and just work for hours. But in the same time, it is a little, it makes me a little sad, because there were times where I was sculpting next to industry pros of 30 years, 40 years, and just being friends with them and learning their techniques. And I still want that. And I'm actually at, I think in December, I'm going to be heading out to LA to go work at a friend's shop in Mortal Masks and go sculpt alongside them again.
Andrew?
And I'm really excited about that, because like you said, I look at other people's inspiration as, competitive inspiration. And so it's, like I said, it's a double-edged sword. I'm able to work quietly by myself, but at the same time, it's never good for the mind to just be by yourself.
Okay. We love Andrew's work. We had him on and just was enamored by like all the many facets of his shop. But he certainly has a lot of folks in and around his shop that he's always got working. But that's so cool. I'm sitting next to I've got one of his behind me sitting. So I'm a huge fan of his as well. That's so
he's
cool.
a great guy. Yeah, he's a very talented individual and also very encouraging. He's just all around a good guy. Him and George.
Oh, they're the best. That must be the most fun place to work too, I'd imagine. Just surrounded by such talented people.
Out of everywhere I worked, out of every shop I worked, it really was just the coolest being able to go into the sculpting room, have fun with them, just talk, share stories, just mess around. And be inspired. Like that was probably one of the best creative areas, or just one of the creative areas I've been.
Yeah,
so good. And then you're going back. See, that's
I want to every year. I want to go back. Like I may own a shop, but it goes back to always wanting to grow. I don't want to stop. Like I want to be able to work with other artists, whether that's they're being, subcontracted under me, or somebody just wants to hire me as an individual for their shop and my shop's low. I'll do that. Like I'm not above, working for somebody else. That's just not a thing. I don't think anybody should be there because, you can always learn, always be inspired. You can always grow. It doesn't matter how old you are.
I love it.
Sure, it's almost, and Matt and I talk about this over and over again too. When we do stuff like Matt's literally doing the show tonight, and then he goes straight to the airport, and then I got to pick him up. So Matt's in Tucson, Arizona. I'm just north of Boston, and he's flying out here because we have a client that wants some pumpkins from us, and they were willing to fly Matt out to do that. Right. So it is work and everything, but let's get real. It's also a boys' weekend. I get to see my buddy.
Exactly.
So like I can only imagine like these when you get to go to another shop or you bring artists into your shop, that level of excitement, like this is going to be so cool. I get to hang out with like-minded people that I love to talk to, and we love doing good work.
And that's what's great. That's when it's beneficial is you can hang out with them for hours and still get the job done.
Yes.
There's some situations where you'll be working and people just like to talk and nothing gets done. But then there's other environments that you're in where everybody's working, everybody's having fun, and at the end of the day, everything was done.
Yeah, that's perfect. That's the ideal one. Because you're laughing the whole time and you're looking at each other's sculpt and no one wants to fall behind. Dude, I can only imagine that would be it sounds perfect.
It is. It's like I said, I'm really looking forward to getting back. It's been over a year or so since I've gone to their shop and just hung out and worked there. So I'm looking forward to it.
Oh, cool. Yeah, and speaking of work, we went through a couple of these a minute ago, but we were just looking at your some of these are just insane to me. But like this one reminiscent of Paul's, and I think you weren't here at the beginning, so I'll flash back to what we did in Pumpkin. So just everyone remember that picture real quick, and then let me show you.
Now I feel like I stole from you. Damn it.
Well, you kind of did.
It's flattery. That's all it is.
I mean, this is just anyway. I'm a huge fan of this one. I love all Paul's stuff, but this one is like it goes way up on my list. And then when I saw we were putting the deck together,
beautiful,
and I saw that one, I was like, oh my god,
a butternut Band-Aid.
It's okay. He just couldn't put the Band-Aid on there, so he was like, let me just give it a swollen eye. It'll be fine. Oh no, I do see the Band-Aid.
Yeah, he's got a Band-Aid,
man.
And this is made out of and Chris, this is made out of what, Paul? The skin of a butternut squash.
Yeah, well, the skin of a butternut squash is literally the same exact color as a Band-Aid, so it was a softball.
Wow, real well. Yeah.
That's beautiful, though. I love the detail on that, especially around the mouth.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. Yeah, these are great. The work is so good.
These are all. By the way, these are all wear masks, right? These are all.
Yeah, these are all the ones that you're currently showing were half masks. I have the full masks like him, Clark, and I make them. I mean, not all of them. Like for the general public, I'll just go ahead and do resin cast. But like for television, anything like that, I'll do these in either some kind of fiberglass or just injection molds and things like that.
Oh, wow.
So
yeah, you couldn't tell me that is anything other than metal by looking at it.
So
that is bonkers.
A lot of people comment on my metal paint jobs, and
Yes.
this goes way back to a fascination with all things mechanical, right? So I wouldn't recommend doing this, especially nowadays that you have Pinterest. I didn't have Pinterest back in the day, so I had a camera. I had a point and click camera, and I would sneak out to construction yards and take pictures of all the construction equipment and all the rust and paint job, or just all the paint and wear and tear. And then, like, at the time, I didn't think it bad. It never hit me. It never dawned on me that you shouldn't do this, and it was innocent. I remember one day I was driving, and I always had my camera with me. I saw a school bus, and the rear bumper, like the yellowish area, it looked beautiful. Like the weathering on it was great. I needed to get a picture of it, so I started following the school bus around, taking pictures of it, not realizing that's just a big old red flag.
That might be a no-no nowadays. Yeah. Oh my God.
Yeah, you don't want to do that nowadays, but back then, like I said, I was in the art. I just wanted to figure out how to make that work, and so like that's that's the commitment you need, a stocking level commitment to just to persevere and to find out how these paint jobs work. Because like everybody tells me that these all the paint schemes they have character and they have stories. That's because you never look at something that's been outside for a while and see one layer of dirt. Like you see chips, you see scratches, you see oil, you see just anything, ash, whatever it may be, sand, blasting, like all that tells a story. And that's, once again, pretty much every stage, the sculpting stage, body shopping stage, painting stage, it all plays right into my ADHD self of sitting there and painting. Like all the chips, the paint chips that you see are all hand painted by a very, very tiny brush because I love doing that.
That's insane. Yes, Lenore says ADHD is a superpower, and I agree with it.
It really is. It is. That level of concentration.
Yeah, that being able to hyper focus is, I don't think it gets enough respect.
No, not in today's age. The only time people really hyper focus is when they're scrolling on Instagram or any other social media. They'll be there for hours and not realize that they spent the time. But take that and then put it towards a craft, anything. It doesn't have to be a craft. It can just be anything that's beneficial to you, and see where that takes you.
You're right. It's anything that interests you, because it's the same thing. Like if you're not interested in a book, you're just going to put it down. If you like the book, you're going to not be able to put it down, which I think is the hyper focus, right? If it's something that you're into, you can't step away from it.
Right.
It's too much fun. It's feeding your soul.
Exactly. I mean, so many people are they'll want entertainment surface level. They'll want something to keep them occupied surface level, but it never goes deeper than that. Because, I personally believe we live in this microwave minded generation where it's just, you have about a 2 to 3 second attention span, and then you're on to the next thing. Like the swipe mentality.
Yes.
But like that's why it's so hard for people to sit down and read a book nowadays, and that's why podcasts do so well, and that's why live interviews like this do so well. I'm not saying anything bad about it. It's just, if you really think about it, it's hard. Like I stepped away from books for a while, and I tried to start reading again. I was like, oh wow, this takes some commitment to sit there and stare at these pages and read.
Words are hard.
Exactly, because it's not only words, it's the understanding, it's the commitment of your imagination beginning to interpret the words, and
not being
really
distracted.
committing. Yeah. Who wants to sit down on a sofa, for 2-3 hours reading, a book, a fantasy book, biography, whatever. Personally, I do. I would love that now, but it's hard, especially in today's world where everybody's got to be on the go. It's hard to find a 3 minutes rather than just 2 hours.
Right.
I agree.
We have about 5 minutes left of the show, but I did want to show a couple of these other ones. Actually, I want to go back to this because when I automatically channeled Iron Giant in that amazing movie, but this picture, he looks sad. I mean, the way it's he's got such a personality instantly, but the paint job, the sculpt, I mean, every bit of it is just beautiful to me. And but I did want to ask you about like this one. Clearly, it's a wearable mask.
Yes.
But
like, where do you see?
How do
you see? That's so cool.
So
you have like a video screen or something?
No video screen. You can actually see it. The two dark slits right where the leather goes underneath the front portion.
Oh,
there's two like 1 to 2 inch, size holes that are just sculpted to be hidden, but you can see perfectly fine out the mask.
Wow.
And that little thing of like knowing how to hide visual, anything that you need to see out of. I learned that specifically over at Immortal, sculpting them for a while, is learning how to hide the sight line.
Yeah, he is amazing actually at that, Andrew. Like whenever you look at his things, I struggle. He had one recently. It was a clown with a clown in his mouth. The clown came out.
The Inception, yeah.
Yeah, holy shit! Anyway, when I saw that, I'm like, where's his eyes? I just was like, okay, it took me like a couple minutes to determine. That's brilliant to be able to like hide it that well. So this is when I looked at this one, I'm like, where, how, who, wearing goggles or something. It's amazing.
People have told me I need to put screens in, but I'm like, no, there's no way I'm putting anything in that head.
No way.
So I love making the stuff, but wearing it, I am actually not a big costumer. I love making the stuff, but I just don't wear them.
Yeah. Well, that's the curse, right? That's a great curse. You can't make it and want to wear it. It's like working at a donut shop and wanting a donut.
I mean, that's different. I mean, who doesn't want a donut,
Ask the lady that makes donuts all day.
That's true. That's true.
But hey, Paul, before we jump off, I want to take a look at yours real quick, if you don't mind. I know
I'm still blocking, but yeah, sure. I mean,
all right, let me see if I can get my my camera in the right thing and do this, do that, do this. Okay. All right.
Yeah. So
very nice.
The shape, I wanted to with the pumpkins, like we talked about earlier, we're stuck with the certain shape, Chris. So trying to find like it has this pinch.
So I call those excuses, but it's okay.
Well, it's fired up. The excuse engine is running. Am I talking louder? I'm just trying to talk over it. No, I generally like when you can find that kind of a pinch point because you can dig in on an angle, so you gotta almost think.
I see the cheek, like I see the natural forms in the pumpkin itself for the cheekbone too. So yeah,
coming along.
What am I going to do with it? I don't know. I know at the end he's going to be a furious undead pumpkin. That's all I know.
Exactly. You just have fun with it, man. Let it take
That's it. It's all about the process.
And right now I went the other direction, Paul. I started with like the mouth. I'm trying to like think furious. I don't know exactly what he's going to look like, but he had that kind of narrow like head shape at the bottom here. So I'm trying to think mouth first. I know I have a whole lot to do up here that's going to make him furious undead, right?
Have you ever done that before? Have you ever started with the mouth?
I don't know. Maybe
that is a bold move, my friend.
I got a lot of,
it has a lot of character.
I got a lot of meat still here. I guess I'm trying to determine his depth here in the mouth before I get too crazy, but
it almost looks like The Last of Us, like
right? Oh yeah, like the mushroom headed guys.
Yeah.
He's undead.
How often do you punch through a pumpkin? Like how often do you accidentally just sculpt through one?
Not anymore. I mean, really rarely anymore. It's all for us. It's like we've been doing it so much now that we can, with your pinky, determine where that edge is, and you're like, okay, I'm walking on a tightrope here. I'm going to be done. But most of the time, we just kind of stay away from it because we've made so many mistakes and killed so many pumpkins that it's embarrassing.
But I'll intentionally do it now too. If you get to the point where, because sometimes light will find the way, no matter what. If you're paper thin from cutting through, and if the light can still hit it enough to show some variant that isn't blackout, you know what I mean? Because if you cut in wrinkles, they look like blackout.
Yeah.
But sometimes if you're in the corners of a mouth or you're at the back of a tongue or something, you're really trying to go deep, but you don't want to bust through because that's the game. Don't bust through. If that catches enough light, I'll intentionally cut it out because I know I can clean it up. And it's, you know, a small sliver. But like Matt said, we don't really bust through anymore unless the pumpkin is junk on the inside, in which case you're going to have all kinds of problems anyway.
Right.
But yeah, it's more of a game. It's like it's all intentional now.
Yeah.
Well, Chris, I'm sorry you were late. We're definitely going to have you back for episode 2, but
we only
I'm glad everything worked out. Oh my goodness, am I glad?
Me too. I'm glad. I got 20 minutes to make up for, so.
That's all right. We'll have you back, brother.
Like a tenth of your stuff. We have so much more to talk about, so we'll definitely have you back on and hang out with us again.
So for everybody watching, this is where you can find Chris. All right, go to Burger Strings, www.burgerstrings.com. I went down a rabbit hole the other day that I don't know if I've recovered yet from, but it's unbelievable. So I highly recommend following. This is where you can find us. Obviously, we're in all the things. Look, I changed out the Twitter thing to another logo that I don't normally pay attention to. They changed all these logos. It's crazy. So that's another episode of Carvers and Creators. I'd like to thank Chris for joining us. Matt, I'll see you in a couple of hours, I guess. And we will be back next week with another episode. So thank you, everybody. We appreciate you checking it out.
Thanks, Chris.
Thanks, guys.
Have a good night.
You too.